It is a day and a tragedy unlike any other moment in American history. Tuesday morning's terrorist attacks have left the country numbed, injured, and angry at the unspeakable toll in human lives and the coordinated violence that has torn asunder the safe assumptions of life in the United States of America.
Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve.
And welcome to SportsCenter, a SportsCenter unlike perhaps any other here in the history of ESPN. As then Baseball Commissioner Fay Vincent said after the earthquake that disrupted the 1989 World Series, our issue is very modest compared to the disaster that has hit this community, or in this case, this nation.
That's right. And in the wake of the tragedy on Tuesday, that sentiment is magnified 1,000-fold. Sports is an afterthought. We fully appreciate that. We know that you do as well. Still, there is news to report. On a day defined by pictures of devastation and death, the sports counterpoint is the image of ageless and graceful Wrigley Field. The Cubs and Reds were to be playing Tuesday night, but instead Wrigley stood empty. That, in a word and in a picture, is where sports finds itself now in the wake of this tragedy, watching, waiting, and praying. All Tuesday Major League Baseball games postponed. On Wednesday, the game between Chicago and the Yankees, the White Sox and the Yankees in New York, that has been called, and the White Sox will leave New York City by bus on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. en route to Cleveland. Thursday night college football games have also been postponed. Penn State and Virginia, Ohio University and North Carolina State, and Texas Tech UTEP all have been called. The National Football League is deliberating what to do with Week 2 games scheduled for Sunday and Monday. We will have more on that in a moment. NASCAR will run the New Hampshire 300 on Sunday, but qualifying has been canceled. The field will be set according to the point standings. The decision to postpone the entire Major League schedule on Tuesday was made by Commissioner Bud Selig in Milwaukee. He was to have been chairing an owners' meeting in his hometown. Instead, he is trying to chart the way of the national pastime through a national tragedy. Ann Werner is in Milwaukee.
When White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf heard the breaking news Tuesday morning of the terrorist attack in New York, he didn't know where his team was. He didn't know if the White Sox were still in Cleveland because of a weather delay, or if they had arrived in New York Monday night in preparation for their series against the Yankees. When Reinsdorf learned that the team was in fact in their hotel in Midtown Manhattan, he tried to get them bussed out of the city, but couldn't. At that point, the island had already been sealed. The White Sox remained safely in their hotel on Tuesday. Commissioner Bud Selig canceled the owners' meetings that were supposed to be taking place here at this hotel in Milwaukee. More importantly, he postponed all of the games on Tuesday and has yet to decide when play will resume.
Baseball, I can assure you, will only do what's helpful to this country in any way, shape, form, or manner. And we want to be helpful, and we want to be sensitive, and so that I generally move very cautiously, and I can assure you I will move with a great deal of caution.
Unfortunately, the sports world has been hit and affected by national crises before, be it Oklahoma City or the tragedy at Columbine. Is there anything from those experiences that are called to mind today as you go through another national tragedy?
Well, they all, hurt a great deal. I said earlier today in a press conference that I thought after the Kennedy assassination, which took me a long time to get over, that I'd seen the most horrific incident in my lifetime. And then there was the earthquake during the World Series, where there was a lot of damage and a lot of tragedy. But this transcends all of them. And so, as I say, we'll just have to work our way very cautiously through the next period of time.
In deciding when to resume play, Major League Baseball is considering three things. 1, security at the ballparks. 2, logistics. Mr. Selig has said that all teams are in place to begin their next games. And 3, the overriding concern, appropriateness. But as two owners told us off camera, they'd be surprised if any games were played at all this week. In Milwaukee, Ann Werner, ESPN.
And thanks very much. Now, Shea Stadium doesn't have the long and storied history of its American League counterpart in New York City, Yankee Stadium. But Tuesday, Shea did play a part in one of the most historic days this country has ever seen. The Shea Stadium parking lots were turned into a staging area for the New York City Fire Department, despite the fact that Shea is some 15 miles away from the site of the devastation at the World Trade Center. Kelly Neal has more.
Shea Stadium was picked as one of the main staging areas in New York because it fulfilled three very specific criteria. The first is that the parking lot is large enough to accommodate the hundreds of emergency medical technicians, firemen, and policemen that have gathered. The second is that it has access to many of the major highways. And the third reason is that it's close enough to the World Trade Center where relief can get there relatively quickly, yet it's far enough away where it's not congesting the area. I spoke with the deputy fire chief who's in charge of all the firemen assembled here, and he told me how he expects to get those men and women over to the World Trade Center.
We have about 20 buses that are, available. We got extra spare apparatus, and we'll get them down that way.
One fireman told me that there are boats that could potentially take them out there. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. Somebody's offered us one boat that could transport 400 firefighters to Manhattan if we need it.
And that's available to you now?
That's available, yes.
How long do you anticipate these shift changes going on?
That's hard to tell at this time.
How many more do you anticipate coming?
I believe everybody that's off duty will be here. They're at the divisions, the battalions now, just waiting for us to pick them up and bring some more guys down here. It's a matter of transportation now.
Well, they began gathering here at Shea Stadium at 11 in the morning, and so far 350 firemen, 175 emergency medical technicians, and 50 policemen are here. They plan to stay through the night and into the morning. At Shea Stadium, Kelly Neal, ESPN.
Kelly, thank you. Now, the Chicago White Sox were scheduled to play the Yankees in New York Tuesday night, and Chicago's bullpen coach, Art Kusnyer, was actually looking down Fifth Avenue when one of the Twin Towers collapsed. Quoting now, "All those poor people, it was hard to watch," end quote. Added Harold Baines, "It was like a horror movie."
Major League Baseball postponed its games on Tuesday. The National Football League is still assessing its options for the week ahead. Spokesman Joe Brown said Tuesday afternoon that no decision will be made on Tuesday and that the league will gather information and speak to several parties within the next 24 to 48 hours. There is for the National Football League always an echo of that Sunday in 1963 when the league did decide to go forward and play a complete schedule of games 3 days after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. This national trauma is very different, but the trivial question of sport remains the same. We bring in Chris Mortensen this evening from Atlanta. Hello, Mort.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, and I spoke with Art Modell, the owner of the Baltimore Ravens, who was then the owner of the Cleveland Browns in 1963, and he reminded that he was at odds with Commissioner Rozelle at that time and how Pete really regretted that. Art said this is a different tragedy, obviously. Last time it involved the president. He does think it is appropriate for Commissioner Paul Tagliabue and the league owners to look to Washington, to President Bush, to take a cue on how it should proceed this week. Should it proceed normally? And obviously, this is not just affecting executives, owners. It also has an impact on the league players and coaches as well.
My concerns are really at this point is to make sure my family's okay. I have all my roots are in New York, being a native New Yorker, and I haven't really gotten to the point where I could really think about football at this point.
It's incredibly frightening, surreal, and then you start really just embracing everything that's important to you.
I'm quite sure that the commissioner is going to do everything in his power to find out where everything stands and put us in the best possible situation to be safe. And if he says play, we play.
Tuesday is a different kind of day in the NFL. That's normally when coaches prepare for the next game. Now they don't even know if there's going to be a game, and yet they're also distracted by the tragedy. And then the players themselves, usually they're off on Tuesday, and oftentimes on Monday night, a handful of players from each team will travel somewhere. So they have the logistical problem of whether players can actually get back into their own towns to proceed with practice, if there is going to be a practice,
so
obviously.
There could be some players out there stranded because, of course, there are no commercial flights aloft across the United States. Do you have any sense, and again, we stipulate that this is a very trivial issue in the grand magnitude of this tragedy, any sense of the division of opinion on whether to play Week 2 games?
Well, I probably spoke to about 8 to 10 executives and or owners on Tuesday, and basically what they said was I found about 80% of them did not want to proceed. They do believe there's some logistical problems. I mean, it's a 16-game season. They have had a 15-game season in 1987 during the strike. There's no off week between the Super Bowl. Can you push the Super Bowl back? Probably not. Then you have the San Diego Chargers who have a bye week. Will they play a 16-game season where everybody else plays a 15-game season? but as you noted, a bit trivial at this point.
Absolutely. So the NFL promising a decision possibly within the next 48 hours, but at this point, at least on paper, the games are scheduled to go ahead. Chris Mortensen, thank you very much. And we will have more on this day of tragedy in the U.S. and the trivial aspects in sport on SportsCenter.
NFL Tonight, Tuesday through Friday at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN2.
Hey, Amy. New SUV?
Yeah, it's my new Sportage. I got it at Kia's September clearance event.
Yeah, well, it's no Toyota RAV4. I got lots of cargo space.
Yeah, me too.
Four-wheel drive?
Yeah?
5-year warranty?
No.
Oh, well.
10-year warranty. And I got $2,500 cash back, which means I paid about $3,000 less than you.
Oh!
Get amazing deals on 2001 models during Kia's September clearance event. Hurry, event ends October 1st.
Roadside assistance?
5 years.
Great.
Hi-ho, it's off to work we go.
You keep on singing all day long.
Hi-ho, 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 gonna make your troubles go.
Want happy employees? Help secure their financial futures. At the Principal Financial Group, that's what we do. The Principal is the 401k leader. Financial solutions for you and growing businesses.
Who's our 401k with?
The Principal Financial Group. We understand what you're working for.
Hey, Mom. Dad wants to know what's for dinner.
Tell him nothing until he apologizes to me.
Mom said no dinner until you apologize.
Forget it. She owes me the apology.
Dad says he's really sorry. He wants to take us to McDonald's to make up for it.
He said that?
Yeah. Mom says you were right. She thinks we should go to McDonald's.
Really?
I'm sorry.
Well,
Can we please go to McDonald's now?
We love to see us.
what the heck is going on down here? Am I in the right place? I thought it would be hotter.
How is this possible?
Wow, Jim Young actually bought a round?
Thought you'd never see the day? Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time.
From an opponent's worst nightmare to the controversy he can't escape. Ray Lewis, Sports Century, the top 50 and beyond, 8 p.m. Friday, only on ESPN Classic.
You know, ideas and inventions come from people in all walks of life. And most of the century's top inventions came from individuals, not companies. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? Are you interested in trying to submit your idea to companies for a good faith review and in trying to patent it as well? If so, Invention Submission Corporation has information to help you get started. ISC is America's largest inventor service firm with over 50 offices nationwide. Call this toll-free number now to see how to get this free information. The information includes forms to assure confidentiality, a form to record and date your idea, plus an informative brochure that explains how to submit your idea to companies through ISC's data bank and how to apply for a patent. Even if you only have an idea for improving an existing product, you'll want to call now for ISC's free information.
For your free information, call Invention Submission Corporation at 1-800-554-9000. That's 1-800-554-9000.
Before Tuesday's attacks, college football was focusing on the state of Florida and this upcoming weekend. New number 1 Miami hosting number 13 Washington. Number 2 Florida scheduled against 8th-ranked Tennessee, and number 5 Florida State against 11th-ranked Georgia Tech. Shelley Smith reports from Miami that the importance of these games has been overwhelmed by the very question of whether they will even be played.
5 of the 6 teams involved practiced on Tuesday, Washington being the lone team that did not practice. Rick Neuheisel instead choosing to hold a team meeting. Like everywhere, the impact of these horrific events is enormous.
When I saw the video of that plane hitting the World Trade Center, I had a tough time going back to football. And I'm sure everyone's like that right now. But how we all feel tomorrow, I guess we'll have to just wait and see.
I hate to see the nation shut down because of this, because I think that's what the enemy would like. They'd love to just shut our nation down, and I hope we don't shut down anymore. We have to. We've got to for safety purposes, you know. But it puts football in perspective. Football's not very important when you start thinking about something like this. But at the same time, life must go on.
At Pro Player Stadium, flags were lowered to half-staff at about midday as Major League Baseball announced that all games were postponed. The atmosphere at the University of Miami was one of shock. These are college kids whose most important event this week was getting ready for a football game. Coach Larry Coker thought it most important to get his kids back on a field doing something they usually do on a Tuesday afternoon, practice. In Miami, I'm Shelley Smith, ESPN.
All right, Shelley, thanks very much. And for more on college football and the dilemma it now faces, we bring in ESPN.com's Andy Katz. And Andy, we now know that a second Saturday game has been postponed, the game between Arizona State and UCLA at the Rose Bowl. But there are a lot of Division 1A conferences out there that have a lot of decisions to make. There's some talk. They've already had some talk on Tuesday. Where do we stand now? Where are they going?
Well, that postponement actually falls in line with what Tom Hansen, the Pac-10 commissioner, has been preaching during a teleconference with the 10 1A conference commissioners from the football-playing schools on Tuesday. He was pushing for them all to postpone their games, not only Thursday, which has been done, Friday, and all of Saturday. He doesn't want to see Washington go to Miami, doesn't want to see Cal go to Rutgers, does not want to see college football make the same mistake that the NFL made in 1963 when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. College football did not participate, did not play that weekend. The NFL did, and they regretted it. And now college football conference commissioners will hold a teleconference at 1 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday to determine the status of the rest of the games this week and perhaps next week as well.
And we understand, once again, these are ancillary subjects compared to the scope and magnitude of the tragedy, but they are real-life practicalities that college administrators have to deal with. And one of those things right now is the fact that recruiting for college basketball started on Sunday, and now you have coaches all over the country that have no way of getting back to their institutions of higher learning.
Yeah, Sunday was the day that college basketball coaches could go out and have home visits, visit with those players at their high schools and at their junior colleges. And a lot of coaches were stranded across the country. Some flights they couldn't get on, some they couldn't get home. Communication was tough. I talked earlier this evening with Mike Bray, the head coach at Notre Dame, and Muffet McGraw was in the car with Mike Bray, the women's coach at Notre Dame from the defending national champions. They were both, coincidentally, in Providence on their way to making home visits. Muffet McGraw in the area, Bray into Canada. They couldn't do that. They had to rent a car and drive to South Bend because they didn't know when they'd be able to get on an airplane again to get home.
Speaking of airplanes, it's important that we point out it is still much safer to fly than it is to put yourself in a car. But in light of what happened on Tuesday, coupling that with the fact of what happened to the Oklahoma State basketball team this winter, you have a lot of kids when they get to college, this is their first time experiencing flight. Is there going to be a real problem for colleges now to deal with fear of flying from these kids that come from small schools and don't know what to think now when they get on an airplane?
That's true, Trey. There's going to be a lot of issues that college coaches are going to have to deal with over the next couple of days, not just in college football, but in college basketball, volleyball, soccer, all the other non-revenue sports, especially those that have to travel great distances. They're going to have to deal with all those kinds of issues. Mike Bray did tell me that he didn't want any of his coaches to go out on the road on Wednesday. He wanted them to stay home, deal with the players that are on campus. There was already a mass at Notre Dame on their lawn, and he knows that there's going to be a lot of soul searching going on Wednesday. Security is also going to be an issue that I'm sure that a lot of these players are going to have to deal with, hoping that they are safe in their arenas, on their football fields. And that's one of the issues that a lot of these schools are going to have to address when they pour in 40 to 60 to 70 to 80,000 fans into a stadium.
And real quickly, the next conference call as far as college football will be on Wednesday?
Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. They will discuss whether or not they will have college football on Friday night, the other games that are scheduled to be played Saturday, and possibly next week.
All right, Indy, thanks very much. Bob, we'll send it back to you.
Okay, Trey. A tragedy so overwhelming is often defined in small moments and vignettes. Among the offices located in the World Trade Center was the Boomer Esiason Foundation. It was on the 101st floor of the South Tower. All 5 of the foundation's 5 employees were not in the World Trade Center this morning at the time of the attack. Boomer Esiason was in Denver on Monday evening providing radio analysis of the Monday night game.
And Bob, Tuesday's attack may have served as an intense and very real wake-up call for the upcoming Winter Olympic Games in 2002. The president of the Salt Lake Organizing Committee, Mitt Romney, as well as Utah Governor Mike Leavitt, both say now their current $200 million security plan is no longer adequate and it needs to be upgraded. However, they also both stated very firmly that the games will go on as scheduled in 5 months. SportsCenter on a very dark day in America will return.
Hi, I'm Rick from Empire Glass. Let Empire Glass replace your cracked windshield and will now pay up to $100 of your comprehensive insurance deductible. And will now give you 24 free dinners to Sherry's, the Northwest's #1 family restaurant and bakery, with any windshield replacement. So for the highest in quality windshields, including up to $100 off your comprehensive deductible and 24 free dinners to Sherry's, call Empire Glass today at 251-9881. When you think glass, think Empire.
If I look happy, it's because I've got a super night's sleep in my Craftmatic Monaco adjustable bed. I'm also delighted because of the free TV I received. You can get a free 25-inch color TV with the purchase of any Monaco adjustable bed, too. Just call toll-free to receive this free TV certificate by mail. Call to have your free 25-inch color TV certificate and complete details about Monaco mailed to you right away.
Call 1-800-605-8228.
But baseball is marking time. This field, this game, it's part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good. It could be again. Oh. People will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Baseball Today, Sundays at noon on ESPN2.
She's not your daughter, but if you give her a ride home after school, she might as well be. Carpooling. On the wings of Goodyear.
Yeah, spinning backwards.
A tragedy of this depth, scope, and magnitude will leave no section of American life untouched, and it has already struck the world of professional sports with deadly force. Ace Bailey, the director of pro scouting for the Los Angeles Kings, and Mark Davis, a King scout, were both aboard United Flight 175, the second flight that crashed into the World Trade Center. Bailey was at one time a line mate of Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky released a statement tonight saying, quote, "Ace was a winner as a person. We will miss him greatly."
Anyone who met Ace certainly knows him. Just a very outstanding individual and a great person, and has been with our organization for 8 years. So certainly our thoughts go out to Kathy and to Todd, Ace's wife and son. As well, Mark Davis had not been with our organization a long time, just entering his second year, but he was instrumental in our last draft this past summer and covered the collegiate hockey for us. And again, just an outstanding individual. We give our best wishes to Mark's family.
Way back on Sunday afternoon, Barry Bonds became the talk of this country as his 3-home run game in Denver lifted his season total to 63. But Bonds' assault on Mark McGwire's single-season record is now, like all of sports, an afterthought. Bonds and the San Francisco Giants are sitting in Houston, watching and waiting. Mark Schwartz is there.
Whenever the nation is gripped by a tragedy this devastating, professional athletes are really no different than the rest of us. They're not thinking about their jobs or their goals this week, but the safety of their families. Brooklyn-born shortstop Rich Aurelia of the Giants woke up early on Tuesday and called his New Jersey-based family, learning his mom and dad were okay. But he knows he has cousins who work in the World Trade Center and St. John's University classmates who work in the vicinity. He is fearing the worst. What hit home especially hard for Aurelia was learning of a United Airlines crash on a flight departing Newark and bound for San Francisco.
My folks came out to San Francisco last week. They spent a week out there with me and my family, and you know, that flight that left out of Newark was the same flight that they were on, Newark to San Francisco. So, you know, about 10 days ago, my folks were on that flight, so it kind kind of hits home a little bit more. But, you know, I'm just fortunate that everybody in my family is okay, and you just hope that everybody else, you know, gets through this all right.
When you hear people say, when will the Giants be back on the field? When will the pennant race get going again? What's your reaction to that?
It doesn't matter. You know, there are a lot of things in life that are more important than playing baseball. You know, we've been getting a lot of press lately because of the way we've played and because of Barry's achievements. But right now, everything should be secondary. This is a national disaster, and you know, I wouldn't want to watch baseball right now if I was anybody, and you know, I'm sure most of the guys don't really want to play right now. I think they want to just get home and, you know, be close to their families right now.
So do you feel like the season should just be suspended for a while, more than just a day?
I don't know. It's hard to say right now. You know, you really can't foresee anything going on maybe in the next couple of days or so. But that's really not our decision. That's up to Major League Baseball, and I'm sure we'll be in contact with our union and see what's going on. But you know, right now baseball should be secondary in everybody's minds. You know, a lot more important things going on.
How difficult was it for you this morning when you got up and saw the World Trade Center on fire, and knowing that you had family nearby?
Well, the first thing that went through my mind was, you know, making sure everybody in my family was okay. You know, it kind of, you wake up and it kind of looks like a scene from a movie. You know, you really don't think it's real. And to watch it happen, you know, on tape is even more devastating. But, you know, like I said, you know, you can just hope for the best for everybody involved. And, you know, I think we as a nation, you know, are going to come together and hopefully find out what happened here and, you know, take care of it as it needs to be taken care of.
Mark, thanks. The wave of cancellations should continue for several days, but here's what we know. The 4 MLS games scheduled for Wednesday postponed. Meanwhile, the start of the World Golf Championships in St. Louis at the Belle Reve Country Club. There will be no play on Thursday. They will play 36 holes on Friday. Stay with us on SportsCenter on a very dark day. We're coming back.
Now, your first source for sports news is even better. The new ESPN News, with the enhanced bottom line that's always on. Live score updates, in-game stats, highlights, and more. The new ESPN News.
At Pearl Vision, our fabulous buy one, get one free sale just got better. Now the free glasses can be for you or your child. So come in today for a new pair of glasses. Choose from hundreds of designer frames from all the big names. Then get a pair of glasses free for you or your child. The better than ever Pearl Vision buy one, get one free sale. And now that school has started, bring your child to Pearl Vision for an eye exam.
Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Think you're tough enough to drive a Tacoma? Join the club.
Driving is a big responsibility, one that deserves your full attention. But a distracted driver is a factor in 1 out of every 4 automobile collisions.
Anyway, so I had that dream again. Everybody watch the road.
Don't let food, friends, or a phone call endanger your life. Stay focused and stay alive. Learn to avoid driving's most dangerous distractions from this book. It's free from Shell. Count on Shell.
To you, it's a PC, but to your kids, it's a laboratory, a museum, or a rainforest. The compact Presario 5000T with Intel Pentium 3 processor. It's a place where your child can explore a world of ideas. And it's just $779. To buy now, call 1-800-331-4055 and get a free compact printer and a free upgrade to Windows XP Home Edition. Hey, why just take your kids to school when you can take them farther than they ever dreamed?
And that will do it for SportsCenter on a day where we realize sports is most insignificant. But what is important, the cornerstones that founded this country are still intact, and they will be the foundation upon which we rebuild.
When the history of this day is written, what we have told you in these 30 minutes will be a very distant footnote, but it is part of the historical record along with the grief, the shock, the anger, and the resolve in the United States.